Hello and welcome to Creating Cards with Alexandra. I'm Alexandra, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today we're going to do a cool technique using the Simply Zinnia stamp set and dies from the new online exclusive. Now, this stamp set and die is not in the annual catalog or the new mini catalog. It is in the online exclusives along with a bunch of other items that you should probably take a look at. They're very cool. So if you go over to my shopping page, just click on online exclusives and it takes you to this bundle along with some other items as well. So this bundle is gorgeous. It has an embossing folder. I don't know if you can see that, but it has like a zinnia flower embossing folder. You can get the DSP. It's a 12 by 12 paper pack. Gorgeous colors. And then it also has some adhesive back shiny sequins in some cool colors: pumpkin pie, lemon lolly, melon mambo, lemon lime twist. So check it out if you haven't already. Really cool items. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is I have a piece of basic white paper. Now I'm going to put a little towel down. And this is a 4 by 5 1/4. And I have my Stampin' Spritz. And this is filled with water. And we're just going to completely coat that with water, both sides. Okay, so it's nice and wet. And we're just going to crumple this up. Okay, and we're just going to set this off to the side. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is bring in a piece of basic white. I have this image, the large zinnia image, and we'll go ahead and ink that up with our memento so we can color this in with our blends. Gorgeous. All right, so for that, I have the light and dark Granny Apple Green, the light and dark Pumpkin Pie, and the dark Daffodil Delight. So basically what I do is I go over these lines with the dark, and then I fill in with the light. So that just gets a little bit of shading. Variation in the color. Pretty easy. And I'll do maybe about 2 or 3 at a time. Shouldn't really, like if you're doing the dark, you shouldn't really do all the petals because it will dry and then it's harder for it to blend out the color. If you haven't seen the DSP, the colors are just absolutely breathtaking. They're vibrant and happy. And then on the stalks, I kind of just go along one of the sides with this dark. And then go back in with the light. And then we're going to die cut this. To put on our project. so I think that's about good for the dark, or for the green, the granny apple. And then for the pumpkin pie, I go in with the dark. And I just kind of go around that center. And then some of these petals that look like they might be underneath, I just kind of colored with the dark. There's no right or wrong to this. This is all about using your imagination and really just coloring the way you want to. This is your project. Does not have to be perfect to be beautiful. All right, there we go. So we have some shading. And this one has a few more petals that are kind of underneath, and they're larger, so I'm just going to kind of outline like I did with the leaves. Kind of just dotting in some of those hard to get to spaces. I think today is the first day of spring, so happy spring, everybody. In southern Illinois yesterday, it was 35 for the high. Today it was 70. So I guess it's that time of the year where it's up and down, up and down. All right, that looks good. And then I'll just take my Daffodil Delight and literally just scribble in that middle to fill it in. Okay, just like that, you have a beautiful flower. You can add some Week Stella, of course. Add a little bling to that, and then of course we have the die to cut it out. So easy peasy. Look at that, already done. Okay, so for this project, I wanted some thickness to this. So I cut out, this is very thin, kind of inexpensive cardstock that I buy to do samples on. So I cut out 3, and I'm going to glue these all together to give this some thickness. So basically, instead of using dimensionals, I'm using this technique to really pop that whole flower image up, to really make it a thick element on the card. Okay, and then of course our last piece. Okay, so then when that is all glued together, see how thick that is? compared to just a little piece of cardstock. So that'll really add some dimension to our page, because this technique, we're going to take this paper. Now this has to dry, and this is not completely dry. So I've already done one that we can use. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and use your heat tool to dry this. But when I did that, I did notice, like, if I just let this dry as is, the wrinkles aren't as severe. When I use my heat gun, they're much more severe, which is fine. It just adds just a beautiful texture to the card. Okay, so we have this. Okay. And well, why don't we bring in, I have some crumb cake, and I want to add just a little bit of coloring to the edges of this to kind of antique it. So I'm going to pick up some of that color, just kind of lightly go around the edges, focusing more like on the corners here. You could even just kind of rip the paper. Sometimes I like to bring up the edges a little bit if you get under there and kind of curl it a little bit. Kind of pull that apart. So you can do that too to kind of antique your piece of paper. Okay, so that's it. Just a little bit of color. Okay, so then I have a piece of soft seafoam, and this is our 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle, of course. I have a piece of pumpkin pie. Now this is the exact same dimension. This is 4 by 5.5. And this was the same 4 by 5.5, but because we've wet this and crinkled it and everything, it's really shrunk that paper up. Okay, so I'm going to add some glue to this and glue it down. Now I would think this, like embossing folders, you want to probably add a little bit more glue just because of that texture. Okay. And the border's not going to be perfect either. That's okay. That's the whole process of this card. Okay, and then I'm going to put this block on here while that glue really adheres. And then in the meantime, I have just a little strip of basic white. I have my Versamark and black embossing powder. Okay. We're going to go ahead and set that down. And grab a piece of paper to put our ink on, or our embossing powder on. Okay, and I've gone off a little bit, so I'm going to do another one. Luckily, I have some strips here. I might need to get a larger strip. I just hit the ink on that. We'll try this, and if it doesn't work, we'll just get a thicker piece of cardstock. Nope, that one's better. But it's crooked. Okay. All right, we're going to get a larger piece. I'm not doing so well on that. All right. 3 times a charm, right? I want a nice straight edge at the top, and you'll see in a minute why. All right, that's much, much better. Okay, so let's go ahead and heat emboss that. Okay, looks good. All right, so now we're going to cut this out, but we're only going to cut the bottom out. Okay. So I'm just going to fussy cut this around this word. Pretty easy to do. Okay, and I'm just going to leave the sentiment just like that. Oh, I messed up the R. I didn't have that completely done. Luckily, I have another one. Always make sure your embossing powder is completely embossed. All right, so that's good. We have all of our components now. All right, so I have my soft seafoam. I have this piece that we've done. We're going to take our linen thread and we're going to go around this a few times and then we're going to make a bow. I'm going to go around this maybe about 5 times. And I'm actually just going to do a knot first. And then I'm going to make a bow and put the bow on top. It's when I just tied a bow when I first did my sample. The bow was all wonky. It kept going one way and the other and I didn't like it. So we're just going to stick a bow on top. Okay, and then I double it. And I love these ends when they're all curly and long. Just looks wild and free. I love it. All right. All right, I've got some of these off. You don't want them too wild and crazy. Don't want your recipient to think you've gone over the edge. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and adhere this down. I am not going to pop this up because I think it has a lot of dimension already. Okay, go ahead and put this down. Okay, and I'm going to glue dot my little bow right there. And we're going to stick that right over that knot. Okay. And then we have our element here. Now we will use some dimensionals on this to pop it up. And I'm putting a lot of dimensionals on here again because this is so textured, this background. Okay, we will go ahead and put this down. Just like so. And then I have my mini dimensionals for the back of our sentiment. I'll actually just use these edge pieces. And we're going to place that right over the flower. That looks good. And then we have to have some butterflies. So I'll get maybe I'll do one over here. And then a baby. Maybe up here. And then for the inside, I just took a piece of the DSP. I put it a 1/4 inch strip. And we'll have that on the inside just so we can bring some color to the inside of the card. Just like so. And there we go. That is our project. Lots of things to do, but wow, what an impact. So I want to try this wetting the paper with some different colors and just have fun with it. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial and learned something new to maybe try at home. If you would, please give me the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and also sharing helps me grow my channel. I will list all of the items used today in the description below, which will direct you straight to my shopping page, which helps support me. Again, this is an online exclusive, so just click on that online exclusive button, and it will list all of this, not just this one, but plenty more. So thank you so much and have a joyful day. Bye-bye.